Hello, my name's Sheyi Bankale and I'm the curator of Next Level Projects and the editor of Next Level magazine. I am also the curator of Photo50 2015, which is entitled Against Nature and is part of the London Art Fair 2015. Exhibition Against Nature. It's a concept that I originally took from J.K. Heisman's book Against Nature, the English translation. And for me, it was really looking at taking a lot of the extracts from the book in a sense of a lot of its kind of sort of fantasy world, very much a lot of its relationships to objects and desire, and looking at how that could be transcribed and then then produced into the form of an exhibition. But also what interested me with the title, the book was published in the 1950s, 1960s, around 1850, 1860s, around that period, and that was the same time as the kind of sort of invention of photography. So it was quite poignant that you had this literary world and this new photographic world that was kind of sort of breaking new boundaries at the same time. So for me, it was kind of an interesting sort of parallel that I thought I'd bring together with this exhibition. But also for me during that time, it was a prolific time of photography. It's where there was so many different kind of formulas that were being made, such as the pterotypes, heliographs. There were so many different forms which were more physical forms of application and process, and that was really what I was looking at for this exhibition as well, looking at photography as an object as opposed to its content-based material. What was really interesting is looking at the digital plane of how that currently exists and how photography is used within the medium. But looking at now how we look at the different kind of activities that photography can, and many of the artists have perhaps gone back and looked at different forms of photography such as photograms, and trying to understand different methods and different processes and applications and how they can kind of be introduced into a new, I wouldn't say a new form of photography, but really shifting away from the digital aspects. Of the examples, I would say is Nikolai Ishuk, where his work is really kind of sort of devoid of any function or functionality, where he's looked at the processes of photography, looked at the actual material itself, and kind of drew away from some of the earlier types such as selenium type prints, etc. And he's used kind of sort of selenium types. He's used metals, some of the metals within photography, as to produce objects. So he's formed these solid sculptural objects, but they've made out of this sort of chromaticity of the aspects of photography, which I think is really interesting. So looking at a lot of these different ideals, there's still a lot of friction to say where does photography fit within contemporary art. And I'm one of the advocates. I've been working with that idea ever since my introduction to photography. I see it as an art form, and for me it's a material that has a fluidity within contemporary art and has a strong base. And especially now with it's different, the way it's manifesting into digital and how digital is producing 3D images now. I mean, that is a whole different sector of activity. Some of the artists like here, Johnny Briggs, who's working now with 3D representations within photography. The future is endless, and I think that's a beautiful aspect of photography. It's always evolving, there's always a new kind of sort of application or process that's being applied to shape how we perceive what photography is
today.
And I think what's really interesting is who picks up on this is Darren Harvey Reagan, where he looks at the subject, the object that exists in this world, the photograph, the representation of that object, and how that's transmitted, and like you said, whether it's tactile, whether it exists within one viewer, or whether it's shared amongst the audience, and then the photograph object itself, which is the materiality of the photograph. You know, it's different layers, whether people apply paints or different materials to that, the actual object itself. And I find those three different categories are what photography more or less encompasses.